Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to TwoToeTags Metal Reviews, and today we got an episode of Check This Out where one of us gets the other one into a band or album they may have not heard of before or aren't really into. And now it's my turn to give Vile an album, so today is going to be Vile Self's first impressions of I Let It In and It Took Everything by Loathe. So, Loathe. Now, you know what? This album's actually been requested on the channel multiple times.
Really?
It's actually a pretty new album. It came out last year.
Okay.
And I've seen people in the comments asking for Loathe around the time it came out. So I think, quite a bit of you might be really happy that we're actually getting the chance to check this out on the channel. And, I first heard this record, last year when it was somewhat new. A coworker of mine was really into it. He told me to check it out. I did, and I'm glad that I did. And I thought, you may or may not have checked it out. I don't know.
This does not ring any bells. I do not know what this is. I don't know anything. There's one bell ringing a little bit where I think at some point around last year you might have said something about a coworker recommended something, check this out, and I might have checked out a song. I don't know if that was this or not.
May have been.
It does not. The word Loathe, the band name Loathe, does not sound familiar to me at all. But yeah, we're gonna do it.
All right, so with that being said, it'll be my multiple time, but we'll be right back. We're gonna listen to I Let It In and It Took Everything for its entirety. For Vile's first time, we'll be right back to give you guys his first impressions, so stay put. All right, guys, we're back. We just listened to I Let It In and It Took Everything, and it was Vile's first time, so Vile, what do you think?
Okay, so this is not what I was expecting at all. And my feelings are a little odd because I feel like just the transition of going from a Monomark, which we just reviewed for the week prior to this, and going into this was quite a drastic change for me. This band, this album, I don't know much about this band at all other than this album that I just heard. They kind of go in a lot of directions. It pulls you in a lot of different places, and there's a lot of kind of emotion happening and a lot of just moods happening kind of all at the same time. It kind of just really pulls you in all different directions. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that on a first impression. I think I overall have kind of a negative feeling towards it. I don't want to sit here and say I don't like it or that it was not enjoyable or anything like that, but I think it threw me off, and right at the beginning, it threw me off, and I was unable to recover from that. Not sure why. It's not that it was bad. It's just I was sitting there, and I had a really hard time writing notes. I mean, I got a lot of notes, but a lot of them are the same notes. Like, do you listen to Deftones?
I've listened to Deftones, and if you're going to make the comparison, I think I can see where you're coming from.
Yes, because this band, to me, sounds like a Deftones clone. I wouldn't even say clone. Probably like Deftones Wish version or something like that. I don't know. Like it seemed like Deftones, but like a little bit of a downgrade. But again, first impressions. Other bands that reminded me of Radiohead. Some of the riffing, I got some Darren Malakian vibes from some of the riffing, which I thought was weird because I'm like, why does this sound like Darren Malakian to me? Why does it sound like Darren Malakian? I'm like, I don't know, but it does. So I wrote it down. A few other bands, like it reminds me of this, that, whatever. I don't know. My favorite song, the song that stood out to me the most was track number 10 called Gored. That's with G-O-R-E-D, not like a person gored, but like a poke. But one thing that this album has on a lot of the songs, probably every song, in the beginning, usually in the middle and the end, is a bunch of noises. Synthy stuff, ambient stuff, some vocal stuff, just noises, just to fill space, just to buffer the songs. These are things we criticize on albums all the time, and this album is full of it. Now I understand if you're sitting there and you're kind of maybe by yourself and you're in the zone and you're in a mood and you're kind of putting this on, I understand how you can get taken away by stuff like this. But sitting here on a listening session, listening to that happen over and over again, got tiring for me.
I think it might be hard in a listening session such as that, just because when we do the listening sessions, we're pretty hyper-focused on the music and trying to write notes, and I feel like that kind of hurts the experience of this album, because this album is a very, like, let it take you away, but when we do listening sessions, we kind of, like, prevent that from happening because we're trying to focus. So I feel like the more you have more casual listening sessions to it, the experience might change.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I always like the emphasis that this is just a first listen, and again, I'll say it again because we say it all the time on this channel. The reason why we review albums this way and listen to them for a whole week before we do a review is because opinions change. If I were to review this album right now today, it would not get a good score. But we've got to give it a chance, right? I gotta listen to it and take it in and soak it in, and listen to it not getting thrown off, because now I know what to expect when I'm going to listen to it. I had no idea what TV Fish was going to pick for me today. I had no clue whatsoever. The only hint I had was that it wasn't like a traditional prog album, which he tends to pick prog albums for me, and a lot of times they don't work because I'm not a huge prog fan. I felt this album was still quite proggy. It is in a different way. It is in a different way, but it's got very similar elements. Another thing this album has, which is not prog, but it's something that certain prog bands do have, and that's the djentiness to it.
Yeah.
You know, if you listen to bands like Ginger, which is not a prog band, but they have progressive elements, or Meshuggah, these bands, the djent and prog styles tend to mesh very well in a lot of bands. I think this band is kind of going down that vein as well, but at the same time, they have this melancholic vibe to them that's very reminiscent of Deftones. And I'm not even a huge Deftones fan. I was when I was in like 7th, 8th grade when Around the Fur came out. I thought that album was awesome. But I slowly quickly grew out of them and haven't listened to them much. They released an album last year, I think. Ohms, yeah, last year or the year before. And I did listen to that once, and that was enough for me. And at the beginning of this video, I think I mentioned that you might have suggested one of these songs for me back like a year ago. I think you did, and I think I did listen to it, and it didn't really catch me then. But again, it's just, I think it's a mood thing, because lately it's been a Monomarth, and when I'm not listening to Monomarth, it's been a lot of old school death metal, but new bands releasing new albums, but with the old school death metal sound.
So this is like a total 180 from what you've been listening to.
It's a complete eclipse of what I've been listening to lately. And it's also kind of, I don't want to say uncharted territory, but this is not typically the type of metal, and I'd probably put this as like an alternative metal. It's not really the type I gravitate towards at any point, but there's always potential for things to grow. There's always potential for me to find things that I am into and that I like. And this album did have things in it, like certain riffs and certain rhythms and drum beats and things like that. Some time signatures that were kind of cool. There was this one song, Is It Really You, track number 9, that has this kind of slow shuffle to it. These things are kind of cool, and I look for things like this when I'm checking out albums, things that kind of stand out, things that are different. So yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a weird one for me this week, I think.
I mean, I can understand that it might have thrown you off because you really had no idea at all what to expect from this, and I feel like this album is a very dense, a very kind of big experience on its own, and I feel like it really starts to shine when you really let it sink in and you start to really feel all the emotions that this album tends to kind of put the listener through.
Yep.
So I feel like this album is perhaps best to listen to like when you're just kind of just drifting away with it, or just multiple times to let it sink in.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to listen to this album constantly over and over and over and over throughout the week, and we'll be back next week to give you guys a review. So check that out when it drops. Anyway, guys, that's all we got for you today. Remember to like the video if you liked it. Tell us in the comments below how long have you been waiting for us to check this album out, because I know you guys have been asking. I remember. Don't you worry. I remember you guys were asking. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Bottle Self.
We'll see you guys later.